Live from WTOC, the Southeast news leader. The News Now starts on WTOC Plus.
Welcome to The News on WTOC Plus. I'm digital anchor Jude Binkley. Savannah police are investigating an overnight shooting on the city's east side. Officers responded to Iantha Street just before 9 o'clock last night. Now, that's in Sunset neighborhood, a couple of blocks from Johnson High School. Police say nobody was injured. We are still actively working to get more details. You can make sure to stick with WTOC for updates. And we do have an update out of Effingham County after 2 people died in a double shooting near Rincon on Wednesday. This all happened at a home in the 500 block of Goshen Road. We can now tell you officials are calling this a murder-suicide involving a husband and wife. According to a police report, the woman was the victim. We're continuing to follow this developing story, and we'll make sure to keep you up to date on air and online at WTOC.com. Well, a Hilton Head woman is pleading for law enforcement to reopen her case. She was the victim of a chemical attack in December of last year. Since then, no arrests have been made. We do want to warn you, some of the images you're about to see are certainly a little graphic. Now, Maria Hernandez tells us she was coming home from the bank when she was attacked and robbed. Someone threw a chemical at her, burning her face, chest, arm, and leg. She just recently had her first surgery in November to repair the damage. Now, we did speak to her along with her son, who helped translate for us, and they believe somebody saw something that night and can help.
Pues para que encuentren las personas que me hicieron esto.
She said that when they attacked her, she saw 2 cars coming on the road. Obviously, they saw something, but they didn't stop, And those 2 cars, they know something, but they just stay quiet.
Anyone with information in this case should contact the Beaufort County Sheriff's Office. And if you'd like to help Maria pay for her medical expenses, that link can be found on our website at WTOC.com. Well, today a judge will rule on possible new charges for a man accused of killing a Savannah resident with a punch to the head. Closing arguments are taking place in the Charles Teeple trial this morning. Now, Teeple is accused of punching Bruce Helmley, who died days after the assault. Helmley denied medical attention directly after the blow. He was hospitalized in a coma the next day. The doctor who performed the autopsy testified yesterday, saying the cause of death was due to Teeple's assault. Now, the defense questioned that conclusion, claiming the doctor used a narrative to draw that conclusion rather than medical facts. They say he incorrectly ruled out a stroke as a possible cause of death.
The fact that my client was underage drinking is relevant to your case.
Well, it just tells you about what was going on out there.
Well, I understand, but why would a doctor use that in making his conclusion?
Well, I'm not sure I understand exactly the question.
Okay.
The autopsy doctor and the prosecution in cross-examine argued that the context of the victim's hospitalization makes it clear that his issue stemmed from the assault. Again, we do have crews in the courtroom right now for these closing arguments, so make sure you stick with WTOC for updates in this case. In state news, a former UGA wide receiver will spend the rest of his life in prison for killing a gas station attendant outside of Athens. An Oconee County jury found Akil Crumpton guilty of murder in the 2021 shooting of 23-year-old Elijah Wood at a racetrack in Watkinsville. Crumpton is already serving 30 years on a federal conviction related to that case. Well, the search for the suspect in last weekend's deadly mass shooting at Brown University is now over. Police say the alleged gunman was found dead in a New Hampshire rental storage unit due to an apparent suicide. Investigators believe the 48-year-old suspect was also responsible for the shooting death of an MIT professor earlier this week. CBS News' Jared Hill has the details.
Ending a multi-state murder manhunt. Overnight, authorities closed in on a storage facility in Salem, New Hampshire.
We got him.
The suspected Brown University gunman and suspected killer of an MIT professor found inside a storage unit, dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
He was using a phone that was obfuscating ability to track it.
he was sophisticated in hiding his tracks.
The alleged shooter, identified as Claudio Manuel Neves Valente, a 48-year-old Portuguese national living in the U.S. legally. Brown says he was a physics PhD student at the university between 2000 and 2003 before he dropped out. School officials say he likely took classes in the same building where he allegedly opened fire last Saturday, killing 2 students and injuring 9 others. Police say he's also believed to have killed MIT professor Nuno Loureiro Monday night. Both were in the same school program back in their native Portugal.
This was always going to be an investigation where something was going to break it open.
The key to breaking the case, according to a police affidavit, was interviewing an anonymous Reddit poster. 3 days ago, the person described seeing the suspect with a gray Nissan Sentra. Investigators tracked the car to a rental company in Boston where the suspect used his real name on the application. Authorities also discovered the suspect's storage unit in Salem, where his body was found.
Our work is not done. There are many questions that need to be answered.
Back in Providence,
there's a sense of relief in the community.
Steps toward healing. Jared Hill, CBS News.
Back here at home, Port Wentworth City Council has approved an amendment to regulate data centers within city limits, but some people say the city is moving too quickly. It was a hot topic of discussion for Port Wentworth folks at last night's City Council meeting. The city says they want to get ahead and set boundaries if data companies settle in the area. People do say they're concerned. Water usage, noise disruption, traffic, and taxes will all go up with the adoption of data centers.
There's nobody that comes up and says, yes, I want it, it's a great idea, and you wonder why.
Listening does not mean hearing concerns and then rushing to rewrite policy behind closed doors.
Without the proper factual information on how much revenue it's going to generate for Port Wentworth, it's all skeptical, right?
Right now, the city says they are not in contact with any specific data centers. However, city leaders say data corporations are already looking at sites across both Chatham and Effingham counties. And speaking of data centers in the state, happening this morning, a critical vote impacting how Georgia will power its growing boom of data centers. The Public Service Commission, or PSC, will decide if Georgia Power can add 10 megawatts worth of power capacity. That's enough energy to power all of New York City. Of course, that vote is again happening this morning. We will make sure to let you know what happens. Turning now to health news, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is warning flu season is starting earlier than usual, and kids are especially at risk. Dr. Andy Shane with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta says just 38% of children have gotten the flu shot so far this season. Cases for everyone are also on the rise. The newest CDC report from December 6th shows 8% of tests were positive for the flu. That's 4 times higher than this time last month.
We really encourage families to do everything possible. That includes hand washing and hand hygiene. That helps to prevent all respiratory viruses. Trying to stay home when you're sick. I know it's hard during the holidays. You want to go out and gather and be with family.
Some good news, though. Dr. Shane says RSV cases are much lower this year. Well, if there's one place reserved for authentic human connection in a community, it's the church. But now more and more churches are using AI as a way of connecting with their congregations. Brian Unger takes a look at how one Atlanta church is using that technology. Take a look.
Everyone must put their shoulder to the plow.
At the Church of the Apostles, Dr. Michael Youssef is the man behind the ministry.
Jesus dwelt,
guiding a congregation of 3,000 at his Buckhead Church.
And the next generation.
And like many contemporary ministries, streaming to tens of thousands more around the world.
We're going to use every form of technology to take the gospel to the ends of the earth.
And helping to fulfill that mission is what's inside this room, the machine behind the ministry. Computers speaking to over 50,000 worshipers using artificial intelligence through an app called My Faith Assistant.
Because I think God created it all and it's His creation, and we need to utilize it.
Youssef and a team of experts like Stephen Watson are utilizing the AI-driven platform for what they call pastoral care. It's real ministry in real time, like having a personal biblical counselor to not only deliver scriptural translation, but also Dr. Youssef's own words.
It is used as a biblical study aid. and does not usurp or replace time that should be spent wrestling with the Word and in prayer with God.
While it may seem like a contradiction, more and more churches dedicated to a spiritual connection to God and the pulpit are using machine learning and AI to guide their flocks. In one study, tracking over 6,000 church leaders since 2021, last year alone there was an 80% increase in the adoption of AI. How does it work? We asked it the question, in the book of Jonah, is the story of Jonah and the whale real or a metaphor?
So now we go into the answer. Okay. Scripture teaches that the story of Jonah is a real historical event, not merely a metaphor.
Like the more secular ChatGPT, My Faith Assistant offered a concise explanation. But here's where it's different and customized.
Dropping a user directly into the portion of the video that's talking about what they're struggling with.
Even 2 miracles to be a Christian.
Is this helping us? Is this moving us closer to our vision and mission of who we are as people of God?
Dr. Amy Victoria Atkins-Jones is an assistant professor at Emory's Candler School of Theology. She worries that other churches could push too far into AI.
If the only place we can turn to care is to our computers or to our screens, then I think perhaps that's a stronger reflection of a place where the church hasn't been who the church is called to be.
As AI continues to grow in religious spaces,
the call in our life is to say, here's the truth and here's the falsehood. The choice is yours.
There's still one role, at least for now, that comes with absolute job security.
Well, back here on the coast, airports are gearing up for the final holiday rush of 2025. AAA predicts about 8 million people will fly between December 20th tomorrow and the end of the year. Savannah Hilton Head International Airport is preparing for around 80,000 travelers to pass through during the holiday travel period. The number of travelers is pretty similar to what they saw this Thanksgiving. However, this time it's spread out over about a week. Savannah Airport representatives say this weekend and the 2 days leading up to Christmas will be the busiest. If you're leaving your car behind at the airport, representatives say to follow their signage for parking. You should also expect to walk a little farther depending on how close to Christmas your flight is. Another thing to keep in mind is how long it might take for you to make it through security. The lines are longest during the early morning, midday, and late afternoon. Representatives say if you're planning in advance, there are a few ways to speed up the process.
We offer Clear Mobile at the airport. You can sign up for it, use the app on your phone, and it can speed up the process to get through the checkpoint. Of course, we also have TSA PreCheck, and we have the brand new checkpoint. So, you know, we don't see the lines that we used to see.
You should make sure to check the status of your flight before leaving home, and you can always sign up for alerts from the airline you're flying with. Arrive early to the airport, and experts also recommend getting there 2 hours before domestic flights and 3 hours for international ones. Well, finally, this morning, we had the long-awaited final step in the return of the iconic Savannah landmark, the Forsyth Fountain. The city celebrated the reactivation of the Forsyth Park Fountain just about 45 minutes ago. It's now officially back on after going to Alabama earlier this year for some maintenance. All right, and with that, we are going to wrap things up here for the news on WTOC+. We appreciate you making us part of your morning. We'll be back in just about 45 minutes at the top of the hour for the news at noon. We hope you join us. And in the meantime, you can always head on over to our website to catch the latest updates and stories at WTOC.com. Thanks for watching, and here's Local News Live.